You're going to have to bear with me. We are sitting out here with the Challenger and the dogs over there. You'll probably hear them in the background. The humidity is pretty fierce, so if I start dripping, it's because of the humidity. So just bear with me on that. And if I smell, if you can, not yet, but if it does happen, just let me know. I'll do something about it. So last time we spoke, I had just installed the HP Tuners Unlocked PCM. I had barely had a chance to play with it. I'd only played with just a few things. Well, over the week, I have had a chance to do a little bit more research, play around with what I thought it needed to be, and then as the weekend hit, I was able to make a few good runs. Now, my schedule really didn't allow me to dive really down, really deep into it, but we are talking a basic street tune, and I pretty much have that knocked out. The ignition maps, pretty much where I want them. Part throttle, pretty much perfect. The wide open throttle, I have to do a couple more runs, but as you can imagine, it's not something that's easy to do all the time. So I've got it pretty nice, and it is running really strong. The fuel side of the house, I cleaned up the power enrichment tables. I did play with the VE tables, but really those aren't as important because with the neural network control, it doesn't look at those VE tables quite as much as just your standard ECU. So really, your power enrichment tables are big dogs, and they say to do a lot of your tuning with the injector control, and I have actually played with that in the past on my 2011. We'll get into that later on, especially when I'm pushing more power. The other thing that really made a difference was the electronic throttle control, and I think that's really where you're going to feel the biggest amount of difference is uncorking the throttle control. Because from the factory, now I know the 2017s are a lot more aggressive than like my 2011. My 2011 actually was very, very laggy. 2017 was more aggressive, but there was still room for improvement, and I've got it running really, really nicely. So the basic street tune is pretty much there. I've got a few things to play with. I still want to mess with the, and this really isn't as important, but I do want to mess with the sound of the exhaust when it comes to decel. Really, the dogs are trying to kill each other. Hey! The hell? Anyways, the decel, I have to play with that some because there are a couple different ignition maps that deal directly with that driving aspect. I did get myself into a little bit of trouble, and I actually threw the electronic throttle control way off the map to the point where I had to stop the vehicle and do a throttle relearn in the middle of the road. Fortunately, the road was not busy, so it really wasn't too much of an issue, but it's not something that I want to have happen again, so I'll be playing with that at a later date and time. Other than that, things are good. I did download a program so that I can show you on my screen what I've done to the tune. I'm going to get the tune knocked out and down before I really start doing any videos like that. Shouldn't be too long, so look forward to that in a while. And I actually found myself doing some troubleshooting for another guy. I happened to run across a post on Facebook and in one of the Challenger groups where a guy had gotten a tune for his 2010 Challenger, and he just was having some serious part throttle issues. His wide open throttle was pretty much spot on, no issues there. He sent me a couple data logs and the tune. Now this tune was done by a shop who has some reputation for tuning, um, different performance cars, but I'm not sure really what type of Mopar experience they had. The tune's not bad, but, and like I said, wide open throttle, it's there. The problem was park throttle, which, let's be honest, when it comes to a car like this, unless you're on the drag strip full time, you really need that park throttle to be right where it needs to be. But his wasn't. Now, when I looked at the tune, there were a couple things that I noticed. There were some torque tables that were a little bit off. There was a torque reduction spark table that just was in a weird way. But the thing that made the biggest difference, and I actually got this thing running really, really nicely, was after those two spark tables and the torque table, it actually came down mostly to the way that the wide open throttle voltage was set. It was actually set really, really low for that car. Now, factory for those cars is about 3.5 volts. When you hit 3.5 volts with your throttle, it defaults to wide open throttle. Now, the 2017s are a bit more aggressive, and they actually become wide open throttle at about 3 volts. His was actually set at about 2.8, 2.7 volts. So wide open throttle was coming on very, very quickly, and it was causing some real drivability issues. What I did to keep it aggressive but not overly aggressive, we set it to 3.2 volts, and his park throttle was just about perfect. I am going to be doing a little bit of modification to his tune to help him out, get him a little bit more power. But like I said, for the most part, it's actually pretty good. So it was kind of fun to play with something like that. It just kind of gets drawn to me. I see something. He kept wanted to pay me, but that's not really what I was interested in. I wanted to see if I could make sure I could get him where he needed to be without any real issue, and it looks like we're there. So that felt good. That was fun. It's been a while since I've done something like that. So that's pretty much been this week. Got the tune pretty much knocked out on my Challenger. Helped another guy get his tune steady. It's been fun. So that's really about it for this week on XI tuning. Hopefully here soon I can get some video of the exhaust. I mean, there's 1,000 different videos of exhaust, so really do you need to hear another one? Probably not. What else is next? What do we have? Well, like I said, I'm going to continue my tune for this car, and once I get it a little bit closer to being knocked out where I want it, I'll start doing videos where I show what exactly I did. So if you're looking to do some tuning with HP tuners for the Mopars, I can at least get you started. I definitely have some questions about different tables. I'm not an expert, but I know a thing or two. So until then, and if you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll answer them if I can. And if I can't, well, I will let you know, but maybe I can point you in the right direction. So until next time, you have good. You have good? What was that? I don't know. It's late. We will catch you later.